Welcome back to Let's Be Honest. Chaos and Clarity in Education, the podcast where school leaders have the conversations no one puts on the agenda, but everyone experiences. Today's episode explores a topic that impacts every school, every leader, and every team. Emotional education not as another program to implement, but as a fundamental leadership responsibility. The question isn't whether emotions show up in our schools, they do. The real question is whether leaders are prepared to lead through them with clarity, empathy, and purpose. We are incredibly excited to welcome our special guest, Dr. Jan Harrell. Dr. Harrell is a clinical psychologist, accomplished author, and higher education instructor whose work has helped countless individuals better understand the connection between emotional well-being and effective leadership. Please join us in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Jan Harrell. Dr. Harrell, welcome to Let's Be Honest, Chaos and Clarity in Education. Now, let's turn it over to our co-hosts, Dr. John Nash and Dr. Linton Atkinson.
So, Jan, if you'll please tell us, our listeners, a little bit about yourself, your journey, and what fuels your passion in education.
Well, thank you both for having me here. I really appreciate it. And I've been a clinical psychologist for 45 years, following my passion, following my heart. I used to work for the YMCA, and I thought I would do that forever. And then kids used to like to talk to me, and I didn't know what to do to help them. So I went back into this field. And I had no sooner gotten my doctorate than I had an epiphany that changed my life. It came out of nowhere. I entered the field with the attitude, bring me your mentally ill, let me help them. But my epiphany was that if Freud had not been a doctor, if he'd been a teacher, there'd be no such thing as mental illness. Evidently, people liked to talk to him, and he was contemplative and approachable. And they probably would have said things like, Mr. Freud, why do I have to pee 20 times before I do a presentation? And why do I feel like barfing when I get so scared before a test? And he probably would have offered classes in understanding our emotional world. And then instead of mental illness, we would have self-ignorance. And instead of mental health, we'd have self-awareness. And that changed me in that moment from a psychologist to an educator. And that's what I've been doing ever since. I tell my clients, I don't have a Chinese disorder. I've never studied Chinese. I'm ignorant, not ill.
I like that. Very, very beautiful. That journey sounds pretty amazing to me. So help us understand this term, emotional education.
Humanity has focused by necessity on survival. So we've developed left brain abilities to logically solve problems and challenges, and we've discovered ways to take care of our physicality so that we can be well. Our education has followed that imperative. But what our education hasn't addressed is the third part of our well-being, which is our emotional self. So we have emotional signals that come up out of us all the time that are no different. It's from the same package that give us our life-furthering signals of hunger, thirst, cold. We've learned how to interpret those signals and take appropriate action. But with the other feelings of allergies today, sorry, with the other signals of fear or sadness or anger, we haven't learned how to appropriately interpret the action it's calling us to take. So what we do is we ignore or we react like an animal, like a rattlesnake doesn't think about something. Someone comes too close, it strikes, not because it's bad, but because it's working on its animal instincts. And so we do the same kind of reactiveness or distraction or suppression with either drugs, shopping, video games. And we've gotten to the point now that if we don't add emotional self-awareness to our curricula, we're in trouble. We see the world in trouble now with tribalism and animosities, not knowing how to deal with, again, those primitive, natural, normal, unavoidable, and not wrong, but just we're uneducated about those calls to action. So for me, I started just trying to help kids. But for me, this has evolved into feeling like I'm working toward a revolution in education to expand what we address, those from those two basic areas to three areas, the last one being emotional awareness. And the difficulty, I could talk forever on this, you guys, so you feel free breaking in anytime. But the difficulty is that if we try to do reparative work, like a lot of the social emotional learning is trying to get people to be more pro-social, more less reactive. That approach is based on judgment, because what we're telling kids is that what you're doing is wrong. You're not okay. And while the behaviors are obviously self-sabotaging, where it comes from isn't wrong. It's ignorant. It's unaware. So what I've tried to do is I developed this curriculum, and two now, one for the younger grades and one for, say, sixth grade through adults, because it's been run with adults in prison, out of prison. It works. I start to educate with the core concepts to connect people with their essential innocence, because we're all born innocent, and their essential ignorance, because we don't know what we haven't learned.
I've never heard those terms: essential ignorance, essential intelligence, innocence rather.
Yes.
But they say one is innocent until proven guilty, right? In the court of law. In life, we're innocent until we know, and then when we do what we know is wrong, then that's when we're guilty. Does that make sense? Does that follow that theory that you have?
Yes. And what I look at is when a child is born, they are both innocent and ignorant. And if we lovingly guide them into self-awareness and help them discover appropriate action to take for their full being, that also is based in compassion for self and others, then we could start to have a civilized world. But if we deal with punishment or blame or shame or judgment, then we teach a whole other thing. We teach something is wrong with me versus I haven't learned that yet.
So thank you, Jan. What recommendations do you have for school leaders who underestimate the emotional signals that's sent through tone, body language, and presence?
I think all of us have to do this learning. I do, like I've worked with clients, some of whom I've worked with for decades, because they say I'm like picking up a good book, whatever they're involved with in the moment in their life. And we look at through the filter, through the lens of the philosophical paradigm that I teach. And I think our school leaders, all of us suffer from this ignorance. I didn't learn this at my mother's knee. None of us do. A lot of people will get angry and blame their parents or their grandparents, but who learned this? This is as yet not included in our educational process. So people can't know what they know. I'm not going to suddenly start speaking Chinese to you guys. I'm a very good person and I'm ignorant as can be. So all of us, if we get this concept that when something comes up that's troubling or hurtful or angering, or we see behavior that is clearly not the behavior we want, it's bullying or shaming or blaming or arguing or worse, fighting or violence, these people are drowning. They're drowning in their ignorance. We can yell at them, stop drowning, swim, but that's not going to help somebody that doesn't know how. So if we can get this concept of the essential innocence and ignorance, then we have a resting point. Then we can say, we just don't know yet. I wrote a curriculum for kindergarten through 5th grade, and I called it the magic circle. We turn problems into puzzles. And that's how I want people to think about it. Like, why do I have this desire to rip your head off and strangle you? Like, where is that coming from? I'm such a nice person. But there it is, this rage filling me, or this unbelievable hurt and sense of impotence. Why? I'm a powerful person. If we can get the idea that this is an as yet unexplored and unsolved puzzle. It's not a problem. It's not a deficiency. Nothing is wrong with me or with you. If we get that attitude, we have kids come into high school and they go study a language or they go study higher mathematics. And the teacher doesn't say, you are all so stupid. I can't even believe you don't know how to speak German and Japanese or do calculus. They say, all right, we're going to learn this together. We're the class. We're going to solve the problems. And this is what we could do with emotional education.
Yeah. So just a clarifying question as well, Jan. As a school leader, and I'm learning so much just based on the amount of information that you've shared with me, but as a school leader, what would be a starting point for building teachers' capacity when it comes to emotional education? What would be a great starting point for a school leader?
Well, there are a couple approaches. I've had my workshop in prisons, and there was one jail in Kentucky that the jailer wanted to run it in his jail. But he thought, I'm going to give it to my staff instead. And so he ran it for staff wellness, for staff orientation and self-awareness. And then he was going to offer it to the men and women in his care. So there's an administrator out in Palmdale, California. We're talking about how can he run this curriculum, this workshop, in his staff meetings over time to get his staff oriented to this. However, for immediate dispersal, I've had inmates in prison, untrained, probably lower education. They don't have higher degrees in psychology. They have been peer facilitators in the prisons, and it's been unbelievably successful with adult men, adult women, and juveniles. Teenage gang members have been really transformed by this education. So a school leader, like I said, I'm giving my program for free. This is like, I email it to you. It is my gift. I do ask that you let me know if you use it, because it brings me a lot of happiness, but it's yours. I hope you don't feed it into AI. My consultation is free, and so I'll work with you if you have different needs. But it's yours. It's yours to use, and at your discretion, knowing your staff, your kids. But it's needed. Even, again, the bullying programs, the anti-bullying programs, the SEL education, as I mentioned, people don't know what to do with it. It's not that they're not distressed by what they see with the children. They simply haven't gone deep enough into understanding the dynamics that they can come up with a proactive, preventative education so that the kids aren't left acting out feelings they don't know what to do with. So, an administrator, do both, run it in your staff meetings. So, your teachers have the experience themselves and connect compassionately with their own innocence.
You know, when you say free, I'm on it. So I'll take it and take a look at
It's
it.
yours.
But we're both school leaders, and we know better than to call out other school leaders. However, we want to be honest as well, because there are school leaders who need some help controlling their own emotions. And so
All of us.
we all do, right? But as school leaders, it's like we're in the pressure cooker, so to speak. We don't know what's going to face us from 1 minute to the next,
Right.
and we have to make sure we control our own emotions. Do you have any strategies, any tips for school leaders who may be struggling in that area?
All of us do. None of us are alone. None of us are mentally ill or bad people. We struggle when we are ignorant, just like my swimming metaphor. If I didn't know how to swim and I landed in all that water, I would be struggling and panicking. And if we can get the idea that to eliminate judgment is crucial, there is nothing wrong with any of us. I gave a talk, I was a keynote speaker at a big international school in Washington, D.C., to the 200 staff people. I told them, we are all IAF. I am Jan Harrell, PhD, IAF, ignorant as, I know what I'm going to say.
Bleep, bleep.
If we get this concept across and we get the concept that we're all learning and we will forever be learning, then the first thing after forgiving ourselves from being a human being that who has emotions and reactions and animal reactivity inherent, inescapably intertwined with our nature, then we can eliminate judgment and shame. And so then when nothing else is available and you're lost, take a deep breath. Be kind to yourself. Imagine that you're talking to a frightened, aggravated, reactive 4-year-old you. Take a breath. Bring that wise adult that we also are to yourself. Take a moment. You don't have to do anything right now. Take a moment to be kind and calm yourself down. And remember, I'm IAF. Nothing is wrong with me. I'm learning. I will get there. If Jan could get there, I can get there. I tell you, my husband and I wrote a book and we used ourselves as the examples because I really think it's cruel when people don't acknowledge their own humanness. And I spoke with you a little bit about that. Like, I don't let people call me Dr. Harrell. You introduced me to make me a valid guest on your program, so I didn't say anything. But I'm Jan. I'm not Dr. Jan. I'm just Jan. I am groping my way through life toward enlightenment, which I'll never attain, just like everybody else is. So in our book, we use ourselves as the examples because I don't let anybody put themselves below me or above me. Both are illusions. They're both delusional. We're just people trying our best. So in the book, we have the examples of ourselves and our struggles surrounded by the concepts and all that stuff. And people love flipping through just to look at the italicized areas because at least they're not as bad off as Jan and Al are. This is what it is to be alive. And if we can remember that, then even if there's like a big conflagration in your school of emotions, and this is taught to you and presented, to your student body that we're going to be a team in our school. We just simply haven't addressed this. And we're pioneers in human consciousness, trying to lead the way to understand something that nobody has addressed as normal and understandable and reasonable and right. If that can be the tone that you set in your school, then when the tensions rise, it could just be someone saying, oh, it's a puzzle. We don't have to have the answer right now. Everybody, take a breath. Be kind to yourself. Just like homework from the universe. We don't have the answer yet, but we can have it. And if Jan could get through this stuff, anybody can.
So Jan, on a scale from 1 to 10, my curiosity level is like at a 10 right now. If you could please describe the first couple of lessons of your emotional education curriculum. I just want to learn just a little bit more about it, because I'm looking forward to really combing through and implementing this curriculum in my school as well.
Okay, then. So this may not be fair, because this is a podcast. We're not just sitting around my dining room table.
Okay.
But all three of us, let's close our eyes, okay? And just take it, and I'm closing mine too. I'm not going to be staring at you and judging you.
Our eyes are closed.
Okay, mine too. I can't see if yours are. I'll take your word for it. I'd like you to imagine yourself as young as you can remember. Maybe it's a photo that really stays in your memory. Maybe it's an actual memory, but hone in on your little face and let me know when you can see that little face of yours.
I can see it.
So can I.
Okay. How old are you in that vision?
I'm 10.
Okay.
3 years old.
I'm 3 also. Okay. Now look at that little face. What do you see on that little face?
I can see myself holding my mother's hand
Okay.
with a smile on my face.
Okay.
The first word that comes to me is innocence. Like on that.
Innocent.
Yeah. Face.
Okay. Okay. So safety, love, innocence. Take another deep breath. And as you look at little you, what do you feel looking at that little sweet face?
I feel loved because of my grandmother's presence.
Okay.
And I would also just say innocence. And as you previously mentioned, safety, being in the arms of my mother.
Okay. All right, let's open our eyes. And I want to propose to you, congratulations. You have both become fathers again. That little you that you saw is your innocent, sweet self that will always be there, no matter how big and old you get. That is the young boy that you get to guide and teach and protect and help him understand things that he was just too young to understand.
Wow, that's powerful.
Absolutely.
I have a daughter, so you saying I'm a father again means that I now have a son as well.
Yeah.
Because this exercise is making me understand how I've been guiding my little self to where I am, and I'll continue to do that throughout my life. And so I like that analogy.
Yes. And it's just like if you cut a tree down, it's not a hollow circle of bark. Every moment of that tree's existence, from the first sprout, is contained in that trunk. And we're no different. every moment of our life, of our experience, of our emotions is contained within us. And we keep adding to ourselves and our, hopefully, wisdom and perspective, but we don't lose anything. We're not hollow either. So when we get a reaction, and for me, I always get a tightness in my chest before I can label it hurt or anger, sadness or shock or whatever. There's a physiological tightness, and that is the call to action for me to take a breath and get ready to guide sweet little Jan, because she got called to attention. She got triggered. Something happened, and she's not just in Buddha bliss. She's not in peace. She's reacting. So I get to take a deep breath and be there for myself. That's what you can give to your school before you have any other problem, before you even start the curriculum, just to introduce it, that we're going to be the team solving these bewildering puzzles.
After all, life is a puzzle.
Amen, brother. There's so much we don't know. And that's okay if we understand that that's normal. It's not problematic. It's not a deficiency. It's just something I have yet to learn. I have yet to become.
That's the power of the yet.
Yes. Exactly.
So I also have one additional question. When delivering this curriculum to students, are there specific resource personnel that should be in attendance at the time of sharing this information, or?
No, it's because it's based in my two big concepts, innocence and ignorance.
Okay.
It is totally devoid of judgment and shame and totally compassionate, no matter what the issue is that comes up for anyone. And intense issues have come up. The first time it was run in a high school, it was a typical high school health class where there were cliques, kids brought together by superficial traits like ethnicity or race or religion or interests in academic interests or skills. And so, these little divided groups were all brought together in the classroom, they were there waiting to see what would happen. But because the curriculum addresses the core issues of being human, all of those superficial traits dissolved. And this class became an intimate family. And things that had been kept horrible secrets for years, like one child had been sexually molested in her family for years, another bullied, another abused. All of this came out in this loving, supportive environment. And from our hearts, we can just be with people wherever they are. We don't have to have the answer to every puzzle, but we can be there so that we're not alone with our puzzles and our challenges. That's the most important thing we have to offer the kids. You're not alone. And that's why we used ourselves as the examples in our two books. You're not alone. Two PhD psychologists also are human, trying to find our way.
I like your humility. And I'm just curious, how long have you been together, you and your husband?
We were together 47 years until he died.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry to hear. And the fact that at this stage in your life, you're still saying, I am still learning. It's very humbling. And it also speaks volumes to me as well, because sometimes I can be hard on myself. And this little exercise that you took us through is now I'm reflecting on it. I need to get a picture of my 10-year-old self, put it up somewhere to remind myself that that's my son there that I'm guiding every single day.
That's your sweet, innocent, beautiful boy whose heart is so good.
Well,
And
so go ahead.
it's not humility, though. It's excitement that I know so much more now than I did when my husband died. I can only think in the next years or maybe tomorrow, I'm going to know even more. And that's exciting. I like the peace and I like the freedom that my learning gives me. And I still have years ahead of me where I can get more peace and more wisdom and more freedom. This is a good thing.
I have a question for you. It's a question we ask all our guests. I have a feeling I know what the answer is based on how you speak, but I still want to ask, with your busy schedule and your excitement about life, what is it that you do to relax?
Okay. I walk. I love the earth. I can just look at it. I once went around my neighborhood taking pictures of tree trunks. They're so beautiful to me. It's just so rejuvenating to be on the planet and see nature. And when night is here and I'm tired, I watch Korean dramas because they are so full of compassionate depth. Even the bad guys have their story and their innocence and their helplessness and their ignorance. And I love the approach. There's no black hat, white hat nonsense that we all grew up with here. The good guy and the bad guy, there's just humanity trying to reach each other. And I take notes on the words. Sometimes I can tell when the subtitles are poorly translated. And that's not what she said. She said this instead. So it's fun for me.
Yes.
So, Jan, thank you so much for this powerful conversation. And we appreciate your honesty, your expertise, and the clarity that you brought to us today. So if our listeners would like to reach out to you so that you could share your emotional education, how should our listeners contact you?
Email is great. I already got from a different podcast, an email from a principal in South Carolina. So it was thrilling to me because I've had, I give it for free to schools. I also give it for free to juvenile corrections.
Okay.
And I've had the state of New York and the state of Ohio and Chicago all adopt this program for their kids. So I'm so excited, and please, I'm happy to talk with anyone, answer questions. My email, I think it's janharrell.now@outlook.com, but I'll double check.
You're absolutely correct. I believe that is it.
Okay.
Jan Harrell, HARRELL .NOW at
outlook.com
outlook.com.
or at Gmail. They both will get to me.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for allowing me to share. I really, really appreciate it. And send me your email addresses. I'll send you my curricula.
Absolutely.
Have a good day.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.